Hello and welcome back to another edition of HG Tundra Talk. I am Brian Rucker along with my co-host, Mr. Aaron Wagner. Aaron, what are we talking about today? This is one you're very excited about,
We're
I
going to
know.
talk about the one and only NBA. I know not many people like it, but I'm one of the few. Really glad that lockout is done with. Roughly week and a half into the season. There's going to be 66 games. And we're just going to do a little talk about predictions, preview what we think, this and that. So, Brandon,
Mm-hmm.
um, what do you think about the Miami Heat this year? They made it all the way to the finals last year. Pretty impressive first year. Team is, even though they had a lot of talent, but they lost to the Mavs in the finals.
I think they're going to win it this year.
I think so.
That dismays me to say because I cannot stand the Heat. But I do think they're the best team in basketball. I think they'll win it. I look at it, I don't know if the competition around them is as hard this year. I feel like, at least in the West, where they would be playing in the championship, I don't see there being as much competition over there. And I think they're a better team. I think Shane Battier is a big pickup in the offseason. I feel like if you would play that series between the Mavericks and the Heat 5 times, I think the Heat would win it at least three, maybe four. Um, but
That's
Dallas.
why they play best out of
Yeah,
seven. You
no,
gotta win.
exactly. So I think it's somewhat of a fluke. That being said, Dallas deserves credit because they got it done. They showed up when they had to and they won games. But I was happy about that, by the way. Go Dallas, good job. But I think Miami's gonna take their throne back this year.
So, speaking of that, you think the Heat come out of the East then?
Yeah.
Personally, it's tough to say right now. I Right now, if I had to put money on it, I might actually take the Chicago Bulls.
Interesting. Good
Um,
young team.
Derrick Rose is another year older, another.
You're more experienced.
Yep.
A little better.
I think they have a better team. They're deeper than Miami, I think. But Miami, I don't want to say got lucky, but they found a real gem in rookie Norris Cole out of Cleveland State. So the point guard, he's more of a shooting point guard, but he could help them. But I think it'll come down to Chicago and Miami Heat. If there's any other top teams in the East that could contend.
Boston's got talent, but age is a big factor. I don't know, but I thought the last few years that this was the year the age is going to catch up, and it never has. Eventually, it will. If it's not this year, then yeah, they have a very good chance. But I do think the age is going to hurt them. I think they'll be a good team, but I don't think they're going to make it to the finals.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on Boston. I don't know how high. I think they can fall anywhere between the 3 through heck even 7th or 8th seed. I think as long as they make the playoffs,
They got a chance.
they rest enough guys during the season. They
Right.
can maybe make a run.
Mhm.
As long as if they do fall to 7, they cannot fall to 7 or 8 because then they draw Miami or Chicago in the first
Yeah, but
round.
if you think about it, in some ways that's like playing the championship game or championship series in the first round. You knock out one of the biggest competitions that you have.
True.
So I mean, I agree with you. But if you have to play them anyway, why not play them first instead of last?
Maybe you'd hope that some other team would knock them
Yeah,
out. True,
no, I
but
agree with you. But if you're gonna win a championship,
Yeah.
you got to beat anybody. And if that's what they did, draw. Then
Another team to keep an eye on, I think, is the Indiana Pacers. Good young team. Gave the Bulls a little scare last year in the playoffs. They added David West, who's helped.
Yeah, he's a good
He's
player.
helped the first week already. So I think they'll be better and improved. I think they could. It's tough to say. I don't know if they can make it to a 3 seed, but
They will be one of the
I think they'll be in the
upper
top
teams.
half. Another team, I think the Knicks.
Yeah,
If they can finally gel together and stay healthy, I think they could be another legitimate. I'd hate
they
to
got
play them in the
star power.
playoffs.
They got star power. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
So I think you look at the Knicks, maybe the Celtics,
Mhm.
Pacers. I think are still a couple years away. They can make a run, but I think those are some of the main teams you got. If you want to talk about Dwight Howard, do you think he gets traded? Think he stays or?
I think he. I think if a deal comes together, it'll be towards the deadline.
I agree.
And I think he probably will be gone because I don't see him resigning. And if it depends what Orlando's doing. If they're making a run and they look like they might actually be in contention to get to the finals, then you keep them around. You cut your losses at the end of the year. But more likely, I don't think that's going to happen. And I think they're going to be trying to get something for him. Because if he walks away, they get nothing. So I think he'll be traded. Where to is a question mark. But yeah, I do see him being traded.
Yeah, I think he'll get traded eventually. I don't. or maybe I don't know. I don't see them as a Magic after this year. But then again, let's say they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, not even win it. Let's say they make it there and they have to beat the Bulls or Heat to get there.
Mhm.
Dwight Howard, aren't you saying, yeah, add another piece
We could
here and
do
there,
it.
we could do it.
You'd think
That's the risk they're taking right now.
the thing I don't know, and it's an individual thing. I would look at it this way. I look at LeBron James when he was in Cleveland. I look at the fact that he one year got to the NBA Finals. He was always decently deep into the playoffs, and in that case, he still decided that his best chance was somewhere else. It's an individual decision. Dwight Howard is not LeBron James. But all I'm saying is that that mindset of, yeah, we can win it here, one more piece, doesn't tend to happen with a lot of guys.
Right.
A lot of guys think, well, this is as far as I'm going with this team. I need to jump onto one of the powerhouses out there and go. So I don't think so. But it is a very interesting thought. And it could happen.
Do you have any teams
been
in
wrong
mind
before.
where you think he'd get
Dwight?
traded to, or
I still think the Lakers might get him just because they might be the team that's willing to do almost anything to do it. Other than Kobe, I don't think there's a guy in that roster who's safe
right,
from trade.
I agree.
And I think if it gets to the point where the Magic are literally sitting there going, well, we're not going to keep him, there's no way. I mean, if the Lakers come at you and go, oh, we'll give him Paul Gasol and maybe throw in another guy or something like that, or two more guys, I think it's hard for the Magic to say no to, because with Paul, you got a guy who's young enough. He's not extremely young, but he's young enough that you could build
Average.
around him for a few years, And if you get some other pieces in that trade as well, I mean, the thing is, it's one of those things where it's like you're not going to get an even value. You're not getting Dwight Howard back. However, you're getting more than nothing. And Paul Gasol is a very good player.
Yeah, he is.
So I would my guess is still the Lakers, just because that's a franchise that seems to be willing to do anything to try to make Kobe's last years at least semi-successful.
Right.
So-
I'd agree. Personally, how could I put this? I'll ask you the same question too. But if I'm Dwight, I don't know if I want to go to the Lakers, because if they get I think they would have to give up Gasol and Bynum to get Dwight, even if it's at
The deadline.
Yeah. So you're looking at Dwight, Kobe, and others.
Mhm.
If you're Dwight, what team would you want to go to, either in trade or in free agency? What couple teams do you think? I got a couple in mind, but I just want to hear your thoughts first.
I still like the Lakers.
Lakers.
I still like, even if it's a 3 or 4 year deal, I like it because of the fact that I like Kobe, and I think wherever there's Kobe, you have a chance. Not to mention, if it's free agency, maybe you try to bring in and see if you can, swing a free agent to come here. And I think if the trade wise, I think the same thing. I mean, you might have to wait for the off season to actually have a chance to make your team better, but I think a team with Kobe and Dwight, even if they're not front runners, have a chance to be, going somewhere. And the Lakers do have some other pieces. They're not what they were in championship years necessarily.
I'll disagree. I don't know. That's the difference of it. I don't know, but if you was Steve Blake and a washed up Ron Artest and
Yeah. Yeah.
Troy
no.
Murphy as your other best players.
But you still got Dwight Howard and Kobe Bryant,
Right,
if
I
that's
agree
the
with you,
case,
yeah.
That's
But-
something.
But if I'm Dwight, I don't know why he hasn't thought about it, or not rumors going around. Wouldn't you think about going to Chicago?
That'd be a good place.
You kidding me?
Yep.
I don't know
They
if Chicago
Rose.
would have to give up Noah, maybe either Boozer or
Worth it.
Gibson.
Worth it.
But still,
Or both, yeah.
if you'd have Rose and Howard for the next 10 years, you kidding me?
And if you can keep Boozer or Noah, depending if you trade them both away, if you put
Or, I mean,
one of those
if
guys
you
in
could
the
keep
three.
Taj Gibson,
Yeah.
he's a decent.
Good
I mean, he's
player.
coming off the bench
Yeah.
now, but I look at there, and then I look at another one is keep an eye on the Dallas Mavericks. In the offseason, they're going to have a lot of cap space,
Mhm.
and Darren Williams has been rumored to want to go there,
Mhm.
and so has Dwight, and they could potentially clear enough cap space
To get those
to get Darren Williams and Dwight to pair him with Dirk.
Mhm.
That sounds scary,
That is.
but that's all hypothetical. But that's very possible
No,
as well.
it's a very interesting theory.
Enough about the East for a bit. Let's head out west. Who's gonna come out of the West and make it to the finals?
This is a tough one. I don't think the Clippers will. I know the Clippers upgraded quite a bit with getting Chris Paul. I still think they're not quite at that level. Like I said, the Lakers, without a Howard trade, I don't think they really have much of a chance. Dallas, I'm not sure they can repeat it from last year. I think in a lot of ways the door is wide open. I I don't even know. I can't even name who. I think it's really just. Actually, no. I do have a team. I'm gonna go with Oklahoma City.
I was gonna say.
I you gotta go with Durant. Westbrook's a good player. Kendrick Perkins. I think that's. But to be honest with you, it's so up in the air right now, in my opinion. That I don't feel comfortable naming anybody. But I'm gonna go with Oklahoma City.
I would agree. I would agree with Oklahoma. I think it's theirs to lose.
Okay.
That's a good way of putting it.
Mm-hmm.
I know a couple weeks ago I had done my preview, and I had Oklahoma City as the best team in the West, and I had actually Memphis Grizzlies
Really?
as second. They played really. They took Oklahoma City to 7 games in the semis.
Yeah.
But Zach Randolph just found out today, torn MCL. He's done for
Hurts big.
a month and a half.
Yeah.
You look at them. I had the Clippers third. Hugely overreacted to that. They until they play defense, they will not be able. But I guarantee if they learn to play defense,
they'll be good.
Look out.
Yeah. And it's a very early in the gelling process for them as well. 2 months from now, let's see where things are at. Maybe have a totally different feeling then.
Some other teams you look at like the Portland Trailblazers. If you want to talk about a team that, let's compare them to the number 1 team in the West. We think the Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, LaMarcus Aldridge at center.
Marcus somewhat underrated player.
They can bang around. They can, At point guard, they got Raymond Felton, underrated.
Yep.
Very solid.
Yep.
At 2 guard, you got Wesley Matthews from Wisconsin. And then if you want to shut down Kevin Durant, you're going to need some guys that can play defense. You got Gerald Wallace. You got Nicholas Batum. And I think that Blazers could give the Thunder a run for their money if it comes down to that.
It's a good dark horse pick.
And you got the Spurs and Lakers, who similar to Celtics. I think if they just make the playoffs and then go from there, there's a lot of games in a shortened time slot.
Yep.
So just make the playoffs and then go from there. So my last question is, last 2 questions. Who's your MVP this year?
That's tough. Gotta go with Rose.
Rose.
Again, yeah. I look at it and feel free to disagree with me on this. I think LeBron arguably might be the best player in the NBA, but I think his teammates hurt him as far as getting that award. Rose does everything. It's not that he does it by himself, because he does have players around him, but he's by and away the best player on his team. You look at LeBron, even though he probably is the best player on his team, you can argue that with Wade. Bosh probably is not going to give an argument, but he's probably better than anybody Rose has in Chicago.
Yeah.
So I guess the best player in the league is LeBron, but the MVP is Derrick Rose.
That's a good pick. I think I overreacted to the Clippers. I had Chris Paul, and they still might. He's good.
What do you think Griffin has a chance at it?
Griffin,
if they have a good year,
I don't think.
You don't think Griffin?
He put up points. I doubt it.
Okay.
Honestly, Rose is a good pick. I think LeBron has a good chance actually.
Really? Okay.
I think he's put up a big number so far, and I think he'll be right in that race too. So we got just a little over a minute and a half. So your finals pick, you have Miami over who?
Man, you know what? I'm feeling the love for Portland. Miami over Portland in the finals. Yep.
I swayed you that way?
You swayed me.
I swayed you.
Man.
I
got a good feeling.
Wow, okay.
What do you think?
That's I can see it happening.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think, like I said, I think Bulls are Heat, but I think Bulls actually knock the Heat out again.
Interesting.
So I think it's going to come down to the Thunder and the Bulls, and I think Oklahoma City Thunder just deeper, better, more talented. I think the Thunder take it. But we'll wait and see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. It'll be a long, prosperous season.
Pretty much so. For Brandon Rooker and Aaron Wagner, maybe in a couple months we'll do another, see where we're at the NBA season, make some more predictions. But as for now, enjoy the NBA season.
We're signing them.